Wow, just wow. Double or Nothing was absolute insane. From Anarchy in the Arena to that main event between Hangman and Will Ospreay, we're gonna get into it all. I'm Ben Allison, Wrestling Republic, an autistic wrestling fan who quite frankly never shuts the hell up, and I've analysed last night's Double or Nothing pay-per-view, and here are my 5 key findings. In at number 5, Anarchy in the Arena was genuinely the craziest wrestling match that I have ever watched. I must have watched 10,000 wrestling matches at this point in my life, and I have never watched one which has left me speechless in the way that this did. I mean, I was more silent after it than Solo Sikoa was in the Bloodline storyline. Honestly, I just didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. So much happened and I kinda couldn't process it. So I went back to basics and asked myself one simple question. And that simple question was it fun? Did I have fun? Did I enjoy it? And the answer was a resounding yes. I mean, I had an absolute blast watching this. Yes, it was crazy, but I was hooked in from start until finish, and it didn't feel like it was nearly 40 minutes. Now, would this be the match I would recommend to somebody as a new wrestling fan? Absolutely not. It could risk putting them off wrestling for their life. But would I recommend it to a wrestling fan? Undoubtedly. If you just want to sit back for 30 minutes and have some fun, have some laughs, kind of cringe a little bit, kind of think, what the hell is this? Then yes, this is the perfect wrestling match for you. But all I'm saying is I'm thankful I was not in the arena for this, because between the lights to the explosions to the music playing non-stop to the just not really being able to keep up with this, I would have hated to be in the arena. In at number 4, Ricochet is undoubtedly having the run of his entire career in AEW. I've watched Ricochet for practically his entire career, right? From his Lucha Underground days to his New Japan days, and then beyond that in NXT, and then the main roster in WWE. And this work, in my personal opinion, is the best stuff he has ever done. The truth is, he's always lacked a character to really get people invested. But this one, yes, it is cringe, but it's meant to be cringe, and it's doing that effectively. Is it meme-worthy? Yes, but again, it's meant to do that, and so many photos of him are just going viral, and it's working well. He basically played into everything that the internet said about him for years, and it is working so well. And he just seems like he's having a lot of fun doing it too, and that just comes across, which is always nice to see. But last night, his match against Mark Briscoe, my oh my, it over-delivered. It was the match which I think over-delivered the most in the night, because truthfully, I didn't really expect anything at all from it, but I ended up really enjoying it, and of course, Mark Briscoe deserves a lot of credit for that as well, but it takes 2 to tango, and both of them did a fantastic job. In at number 3, Toni Storm vs Mercedes Moné will be one of the biggest matches in AEW history. Since Mercedes Moné has arrived in All Elite Wrestling, Toni Storm has been the face of the women's division, even when Mariah was champion realistically. But the two have never really come face to face and have never wrestled. In fact, they haven't wrestled once in their entire careers. The only time they were even in the same ring was during a tag match on SmackDown where they teamed up to take on Shotzi Blackheart and Charlotte Flair in 2021. And you guys know me, I'm not really a fan of champion versus champion matches because it often weakens one title. But this is an exception to the rule because I'm so excited for this. And on an event like All In, which is clearly their WrestleMania, I think this is a good time to do a champion versus champion match, and I'm so pumped for it. In fact, dare I say, I actually think it should be title versus title. I think the winner should walk out with both of them. Of course, then you've got to figure out how to take one of them off without the other, but you can do that down the line. This is a rare occasion where I think that would work. And I also think that this match is undoubtedly good enough to main event All In. Now, based on what Tony Khan said in the post-media scrum, I don't think it will main event. He kind of did make it clear that Hangman versus Moxley is going to main event, and that's completely understandable. But this either needs to be the co-main or it needs to open. It should not be in the middle of the card. This match needs to feel really important because it is. I'm so excited. But before we get into the top 2 key findings, could you guys please do me a huge, massive favor and make my day and just hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts on the show, and also subscribe. I cannot exaggerate how much it helps us out here at Wrestling Republic. We create videos multiple times a week, high quality videos. We put tons of effort into them. Plus, we have been doing a daily live stream for 881 days in a row, excluding Christmas. And that is every day at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern in the United States, and 12 p.m. Pacific in the States as well. Thank you guys. In at number 2, the only major negative about this show was that I thought it was a couple of matches too long. A 9-match show, I mean, to me, that is just a tad too long, especially when there's so much good wrestling. In my opinion, the 6-man tag co-main, as well as the tag championship match, should have been left off the card, plus even potentially Garcia and McGuinness versus FTR as well. All those matches were great, but they would have been great on a Dynamite. As I really do think the sweet spot for All Elite Wrestling, and to be honest, WWE as well, is 6 to 7 matches. And I've been saying that for years now, and I really do think if they just cut those 2 matches off the card yesterday, well, this would have been pretty much a perfect show in my opinion. But a nearly 5-hour-long show, it's just a lot. Like, by the main event, I was a little bit burned out, despite the fact that I really was loving it. And here's another thing about All Elite Wrestling pay-per-views, right? There's not really a break during them. Like, with WWE, you get a bunch of commercials and all that, and it does feel a little bit long. But I think there could be a little bit of a happy medium between the two, because AEW just goes from banger to banger to banger to banger to banger, and the only break you have is like 30-second entrances, and it's a lot. But that is a really good problem to have. But in at number 1, Hangman Adam Page needs to dethrone Jon Moxley at All In. First off, wow, just wow. Hangman vs. Ospreay was absolutely phenomenal. A legitimate match of the year contender, and the last couple of minutes was genuinely one of the best ending sequences to a match that I have ever seen. But it's now official, Moxley versus Hangman All In, and I've been saying for the longest time that to me, Hangman Page is the heart and the soul of All Elite Wrestling, and he should be the one to save this company from the Death Riders. But truthfully, I'm worried he won't be. I have a really bad feeling that he's going to lose at All In. Then at Forbidden Door, it's going to be Moxley versus Ospreay in the UK, where Moxley will retain once again, and then they will wait until All Out to do Moxley versus Darby Allin, and they'll have Darby Allin win. Now, I like Darby Allin, I want to make that clear. But here is the thing, in kayfabe, he is a complete and utter coward right now. He is. He basically ran away from the Death Riders to climb a mountain. He left AEW. He abandoned the company. And of course, that's me being a little dramatic, but it is true. Meanwhile, Hangman Page has stayed and he's been fighting his demons, and he has now basically arrived as the savior of the company. Darby deserves a world title and he will get it long term, but in terms of this story, Hangman is the answer. It is the clear answer, and in my opinion, it is the only answer. We don't have any fans' thoughts today because very simply the show finished so late, and then the distance between that and me recording, it's all been a little bit of a headache. That is the only thing about having pay-per-views this long, really. But overall, I will say this pay-per-view was a banger of a broadcast, the highest rating I can possibly give. The only critique, like I said, was it was a couple of matches too long, but it featured so many great things, and I haven't even touched upon Okada versus Mike Bailey, which was an absolute banger of a bout as well. But like I always say, my opinion certainly isn't gospel. Do you disagree with me? If so, sound off in the comments. Let me know and I will be replying to them. As always, liking. I always read every single comment and I'll be replying to some of them as well. Feel free to argue with me or agree with me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a fantastic day. Peace.